Hello, my fellow broke aristocrats. It's me, Whimsy, and this is an update video for the month of January. As those of you know, I am doing a low spend January, which is different than the no spend January I did a couple of years ago. And the reason why I switched it up is because January is a really long month, and I found that it was impossible to deny myself any entertainment or anything nice for the entire month of January. And so what inevitably would happen is I would still save money, but I would break my no spend and I would go out and buy something. So I decided this year that, why set myself up for failure? I'll just do a low spend. And so far it's been doing really, really great. One of the things I always like to pride myself on is if I go a day without spending any money at all, then that's a good thing. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about how I saved money this month so far, and I can tell you a little bit about the numbers. The biggest savings that I've gotten so far are definitely food cost, getting the food cost down, the grocery bill down, but food cost in general. I remember I did an account and a reckoning of my spending on food last year when I had stopped budgeting, and entertainment, and that meant going out and eating, groceries, etc. Without any account and reckoning, I was spending about $800 a month as a single person in Los Angeles. Taking myself to lunch, taking myself to dinner with friends. Just because if you're single and you're over 50, then you're going to need to socialize, reach out to the community so that, you don't want to be lonely. And so what happens inevitably is that you end up spending money. And I think that that's definitely the challenge that a lot of broke aristocrats have. A lot of people that watch this channel are single, we don't have families, we're over 50, we're a frugal community, but we're not necessarily frugal people. That's the difference between, say, a broke aristocrat and a minimalist or a frugal person. A broke aristocrat loves to spend money. We love to spend money, we love to eat good food, we love to travel all over the world, and so being frugal is not second nature to us. Being frugal is something we really have to work at. So I just want to share some of my own accomplishments for the month of January, and hopefully it will inspire you as well. So number one was that I was able to cut my grocery bill by doing an account and a reckoning of I showed you that video, the stuff in my cupboards, the freezer, etc. And what I did is I looked at everything I had. I just ripped through my freezer, my pantry, etc. And then I thought, what can I make with this? If I have tuna, I can make a tuna casserole. If I had salmon, I could make a salmon salad. What did I have? What did I already have? And then I planned my menus for January based on what was in my cupboards, what was in my freezer. I found out, as is my way, that I had accumulated a lot of dry goods that were sitting in the freezer or going bad in the cupboards. All of it has to be used up. So that was one of the first ways that I saved on groceries for the month of January. I just started planning menus based on the cupboard, based on the freezer, based on what was in the vegetable tender. Just go through it and just start using it up. And the only time I go shopping is if one ingredient is missing or something like that. And then I will make sure to only go and get those ingredients. That was the first thing I did. The second thing I did to save money is I made sure I never left the house hungry. I never left the house hungry. And when I knew I wasn't going to have time when I got to the office to eat, I always shoved a banana and some nuts and some string cheese. Whatever I had, I would put it in my bag and take it with me to avoid being hungry, because it's an impulse thing. You go to the store, you're starving, and then the next thing you know, you start buying cookies and chips and everything. So number one is I used everything I already had planned, and number two, I did menu planning for what I already had, and only went shopping for the things that were going to be on the menu. And number three was that I made sure never to leave the house hungry so that I wouldn't spend money on food outside. The fourth thing I did is that I started to cut out junk food. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke cigarettes. But for people who do those things, alcohol, cigarettes, you may want to think about eliminating those things for the month of January, particularly if you have a lot of debt. Junk food also is one of those things that you have to decide if you want to keep it or get rid of it. For me, I decided to let myself have some sweet stuff, but the rule for me is that I should make it, because when I did an account and a reckoning, I found out that I had a bunch of flour, I had some sugar, I had some walnuts, I had some bittersweet chocolate. So I made cupcakes, I made etc., etc. But the idea here was to not buy anything that was sweet or junk or garbage and bring it into the home for the month of January. The fifth thing I did to save money is that I kept the menus really, really simple and didn't go crazy on the menus. That means that a dish, instead of a dish being complicated and having 20, 30, 40, 50 ingredients, it only had to have a few ingredients. A chicken with carrots and onions cooked, with olive oil and spices, onions, keep it real simple. I also try to buy in season. I guess we can have that be 7, but I also try to eat in seasons, which means that I find out what I already have, and then I look at what vegetables are in season. In wintertime, it's the root vegetables. It's going to be your onions. It's also going to be your tubers, your sweet potatoes, turnips, etc. When you shop, just be aware that use what you already have. Make your use only a few ingredients so that you're not stuck with spending more than you have. Substitute for ingredients when you have to substitute, but also shop in season. I think that's a great way to save, is to just buy in season. Somebody had said to me that they didn't agree with me because I had said buy bulk and that it was wasteful to buy bulk. So I have to clarify what I meant. I didn't mean go to someplace like Costco and buy massive amounts of food that's going to waste in your cupboard. I mean the bulk aisle of your local co-op. Ideally, you have a local co-op. If not, you can go to Whole Foods and actually get some deals. If you're going there just to buy in the bulk aisle, you take only what you need. You take only the beans you need, and it actually prevents waste. And if you have your own jars or your own bags, it's also good for the environment. So the other thing that I did, I believe this is, are we on 7 or 8? I'll have to go back. I think I'm on 8, is that I did not overcook. One of the ways that I was wasting food is I was buying food that I wasn't preparing, and then when I would clean out my refrigerator, inevitably at the end of the month or whenever I was cleaning out the refrigerator, there would be gobs and gobs of food that would be thrown out. I'm really trying to be mindful of only preparing as much food as I'm actually going to eat. So being a little bit mindful, if I'm going to make a soup or a stew, only what I need and no more. I used to make a lot of food and then I would get tired of it. It would sit there, it would go bad, and then I would end up tossing the other half out. That's extremely wasteful. The 9th thing I did was I stopped eating out, except I gave myself an allotment that I could go to have a frugal meal out with a girlfriend once a week. I'm giving myself once a week to treat myself. So that can be something like going and getting a slice of pizza with a friend or something like that. If you've budgeted for it and you can afford to do it, and if you're starting to feel depressed, go ahead and treat yourself to going out with a friend, but have it be something inexpensive, like you can go and get a burrito together or something like that. The 9th, is it the 9th? The 9th thing that I did to save money was I started walking more, I started walking more and taking Uber less. I don't drive, so I take Uber or the bus, but now I'm taking more bus rides, and I'm also walking a lot, which is also good for my health. The great thing about a no spend or a low spend January is that you actually theoretically will get healthier because you're not buying as much junk food, cigarettes, tobacco, etc., whatever your vice is, and you're actually going to be walking more in order to save on gas. The 10th thing I did was I found ways to entertain myself that didn't require a lot of money. So that meant using my Netflix, watching YouTube videos, and also catching up on all of the reading I have. I have a ton of books that I need to read, and unfortunately, they've just been sitting here. I've probably got enough stuff to read to last me for about 6 months, books in my home that I bought and never read. So that was also a great savings. If I run out of that, I can always go to the library, and many of the libraries here in Los Angeles sell their books for a quarter, 50 cents, as does Goodwill, Salvation Army, etc. There are places where you can go and get used books that are very affordable if you don't have Kindle. So that's it. My top something like 10 or 11 tips for how to be frugal in the month of January and how I'm saving money. Be sure and tell me what you're doing to take care of yourself without breaking your piggy bank. And also tell me what your goals are and why you've chosen to have a frugal life. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you next time. Take care. Peace out.